Good morning and happy Friday. I hope you all have had a wonderful, wonderful week and great things have happened. I live in Florida, so we escaped Dorian, but definitely thoughts, prayers, love, hugs to all the people who were in the path. It was like sheer chaos when we thought Dorian was coming for us. So I'm especially grateful this week just for safety and good weather. So hopefully you guys have your own bit of gratitude for the great things that have happened this week. Welcome this morning to Extraordinary Stories with Extraordinary People. My name is Amy Kochek with Amy Kochek Creative. I am a coach, I'm a ghostwriter, I am an editor, I'm a teacher. I'm all things story related because I believe that the most powerful asset that any human being on the planet possesses is their own story. The thing that you can use, the resource that you can use outside of any book, any video, any sermon is your own story. It's your greatest teacher. It's where you can find wisdom and gems to bring you through any more portion of your life. And it's also your greatest teacher. So one of the things that I discovered is as I would talk to people and tell them what I did, they would always get excited and say, "Oh, I have a great story," or "Oh, I've always wanted to write a book," or "You should talk to this person. They have a great story to tell." And it used to get me really excited. And I would always follow it up by saying, "Well, what are you doing with your story? Are you writing a book? Are you sharing it? Are you putting it in your career? Like, how are you using your story?" And a lot of times people had a lot of excuses, which some of them were very valid, good excuses. So then I decided to make it my mission to use my platform to share people's stories because so many people have these amazing, life-changing, inspirational stories locked up inside of them for whatever reason, and they're not sharing it. And I just want to make sure that that I am a place and a mouthpiece for some people who don't feel confident enough to share their story or who are just wanting to share their story on a larger platform. So today is no different. I'm so excited. I'm always very excited and grateful for the types of people that are put in my path because I've met just some amazingly powerful people. And today is no different. I'm so excited for her to share her story. So Lacey, first of all, welcome this morning. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to throw it to you. Introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are, any relevant information you want to share.
Awesome. Amy, thank you so much. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited for today and to share a little bit with you. So my name's Lacey Marie. I am clear across the country from you. I'm all the way on the West Coast. I am an Idaho girl, born and raised, full-on country girl, okay? So that is who I am. I love what you're doing. I love how you interview people and you talk to people and you get to know them and their stories. That's actually been something that's been really huge for me my entire life. That's something that my mom instilled in me. You know, we'd even go to the grocery store and we'd talk to people or go to the mall and find out and just get to know people and find out their stories. And it is pretty magical to learn from other people, but also to see how your stories and how all of our paths can cross and relate. So anyway, so like I said, my name is Lacey Marie, clear from Idaho, and I am a social media consultant. I love everything social media. I love talking to people. I love sharing. And so I'm really excited just to dive in. And what we're going to do is just, I'm like everybody else, and I have 100 million stories and all of this crazy stuff. And we're just going to kind of skim the top of all of them in a very brief way. But Amy, it was really cool because when we connected and we were setting up this interview, I really got thinking, and I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like who am I? What angle am I going to take? Almost to the point of, okay, what Lacey am I going to be? Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we all have so many different angles to us. It's like, who am I going to show up as? Right?
Yeah. So one of the things that's always exciting about every interview is I always tell people, like, we have so many moments in our lives, like pivotal moments or just big moments in our life where things change. So we're going to focus today on what's one pivotal moment in your life where you feel like things really started to shift and the trajectory of your life changed. So set us up. Who are you? What's going on in your life? And then take us to that pivotal moment in your life.
Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about basically my pivotal moment, I'm not saying that right today, but has been my fall or my destruction. Okay. So like I said, I grew up here in Idaho, very small town country girl, very strong religious community. Okay. Everybody's in the same religion for the most part, which is fine. Anyway, so grew up in this really small town, and there were a lot of expectations put on everybody. That it's like, okay, this is what you do. You go to school, you go to high school. I'm talking. You graduate. You either go on a mission or you get married, depending on if you're male or you're female.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I went through high school, through all my grade school, high school, and I am one. And you wouldn't think this of me. I don't think so. You wouldn't think this way of me by looking and watching me now. But I was one that I was like, hey, rules are set for a reason. They're set to keep me safe, and they're set for me to follow. So I tried my best to just follow the rules, play by the rule book, whatever my leaders were telling me, whatever my coaches were telling me, whatever my parents were telling me, because dang it, they were older, they were wiser, and they knew what was perfect for me.
Yeah.
So I followed the rules the best that I could. So I graduated from high school. I was 19 years old, and I jumped into my first marriage. And it was so interesting, Amy, because there was a point that I remember my heart and my intuition telling me this may not be the right move for you. Like, stop, take a breath, slow down, stop. But instead of me listening to that and taking that moment, I continued to be the people pleaser,
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like what we talked about is in a way that is living in prostitution energy. And what it is I was selling myself, I was selling my heart and my soul, like what spirit was telling me to do, to follow what other people thought I should do, or their expectations, right?
Yeah.
And of course they all had, they thought they had my best interest at heart, and I don't blame any of it, any of this on them. It's just very interesting. So I continued on with that. I was in my marriage. I stayed in the marriage 15 years, had 4 kids, played by, again, as many rules as we could. Went to college. We went to church every Sunday. We went to all of the ceremonies, did everything that we'd been taught, or we thought we were supposed to.
Yeah.
And then my pivotal moment came. I don't feel like it was just a one, like, deer in the headlight look, moment, but something happened where I continued at that 15 years. I continued to get little nudges here and there. And finally, like, I had just gotten to the point that my body was breaking down. I was just being so mean to my body, trying to meet all of these expectations of the people in my church, the people in my community, my husband, my kids, like, to the point that I literally almost died. I was exercising like crazy. I got huge breast implants to try to keep up with whatever, and to keep attention, and to look a certain way. So I was literally continuing to live in that prostitution energy by keeping, being mean to my body and exercising and keeping the house at a certain degree and level and organization, and just keeping up the face, right?
Yeah.
So I got to this point that I was sick. I was like 80 pounds. I had been through, I think, 6 surgeries in 5 months, and the doctors couldn't find any reason for me being sick. Okay.
Wow.
So I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not living my truth.
Yeah.
I'm not. I am literally selling myself, my life, into this prostitution energy, driving myself into the ground. And where is it getting me? It's not getting me anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to make some decisions that felt in alignment with me. And they started little, like cutting my hair. Okay. At the time, I had really long hair. Like, I think it was, down to here. And I just went in and just chopped it and went to a cut similar to this. And that was my first, like, I'm done. I'm done living in this other image, right? But and little steps continued for the next about 5 years. But the thing, Amy, that was so crazy is I guess I always thought my whole life that it was like you have these aha moments, and then you make a choice to step into whatever your aha moment was, and that once you step into it, it's magic.
Beautiful.
Right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
And so that in my naive, small little mind at the time, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought, okay, awesome. I'm going to start stepping into my truth, and it's going to fix my marriage. It's going to fix my relationship with my kids. It's going to fix everything in the church. It's going to fix things in the community. It's going to fix things in business. Like, I had my aha moment. Thank you. Here we go.
Yeah.
I bet you can't guess what happened, can you?
I probably have an idea, but yeah, go tell us, because I think that's the misconception, right? The misconception is when you take big risks with your life, and like the living your truth and the being authentic to who you are and the drastic choices you need to make. The idea is that, well, of course, once I make that, life is going to be wonderful. People are going to accept me. They're going to be excited for me, especially the people who are close to me. But that is not the story. So you tell us, destroy some of our preconceived lies that we believe.
Yeah, so I'm not here to rain on your parade. I'm here to help you guys not be quite as shocked as I was. So I started stepping into some of my truths. And like I said, they weren't massive, massive things. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and I said, okay, I'm leaving the church. I'm taking out my breast implants. I'm believing in something completely different. It wasn't overnight. It was little things. But through all these little things, as I started to move into my truth, Amy, I literally lost everything. Everything. I lost my marriage. I lost my house. I lost my friends. I lost my business. I lost a lot of my family. Literally, I lost everything. There was a point that it was when I was losing my house, okay? And you guys have to understand, this was, and I know it's just a thing, but it was my dream home. Mm-hmm. It was my dream home. And I had so many good memories there. I loved everything about it. And I remember I was leaving or that was going through, and I was in the process of moving into my parents' house with me and my 4 kids as we were splitting custody. And this is the moment, it was almost like I took these little baby steps into living my truth. But the moment that I finally decided to 100%, the best of my abilities, right? Mm-hmm. Stop living in that prostitution energy there was a day that I went to the gas station to put gas in my car. All of my bank accounts had been shut off. I had access to nothing. I had $4 in my pocket. I had 4 kids. I didn't know how I was going to feed them. I didn't know. And my parents were there, right? They were there to pick up the pieces, but there's still that part inside of you that kind of dies when you can't provide for your babies, okay? And I just remember thinking, what am I going to do? Because you have to pay money to file for an attorney. You have to do all of this stuff. It's just the ugliness of divorce. And I literally didn't know what to do. So I went to my parents' house, and I remember just falling to the floor and just crying and texting my ex-husband, or, soon to be ex-husband, and telling him, saying, hey, I need to go get some food. We got to work something out here. And I wasn't at that time, I was like, I can't just keep going through attorney. So let's work this out. And I remember At one point, he walked into my parents' house and he put a couple boxes of cereal on the counter and some milk. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember exactly what I felt. And I have never felt so worthless, so horrible, so just low
Yeah.
in my life. And I hate to keep using this term, but I literally felt like a prostitute. Like somebody was like, okay, I've gotten what I needed. Here you go. Here's some cold cereal and some milk. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. My friends, and again, like I understand because divorce is so crazy and so hard, right? Like you kind of just leave and you're like, I don't want to be involved. But after losing so many of my friends, so many of my family, I relied heavily on the support of like the church, right? Of the church that I was a part of. And that ended up completely 100% failing me too. And it was like all of these steps into destruction that I was just like, okay, I'm trying to follow my truth. And I thought it was going to be this beautiful journey. And it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
So where does the turning point kind of come? Because obviously there's a mourning process that happens, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
when you lose so much, it's like mourning a person. It's like you're
It is.
mourning the old Lacey Marie. You're
Mm-hmm.
mourning the death of who you were, right?
Yes.
So as you're going through the mourning process, at the same time, there's this beautiful rebuilding, right? It's like this
Mm-hmm.
that death to then rise again to your true self. So when do you start feeling yourself rising again and rebuilding a life that is now centered around who you truly are and not who everybody wants you to be?
So that happens for me as I continue to practice that. As I continue to practice choosing into me, whether it be, what form of exercise I choose, what type of, how I run my business. The most recent one is, and I know a lot of people think that it's really extreme, but the most recent thing that I did, choosing into me 100%, was I am about 6 weeks out from a full explant. So I had my breast implants removed, and I also had a full mastectomy because I have such a high risk for cancer, and I have a couple cancer markers. And as I thought about that for a full year, wondering what to do, um, I found myself falling back into old patterns and habits, right? And this comes up with a lot of things, whether it's like marriage, what I'm wearing. I'm hitting on some really big, heavy things today to show you, or to show people that like it is a process and sometimes it is hard, but you get to keep choosing into you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I chose into that. And through the love and the support of my family and my current husband, it has been one of the most beautiful, amazing processes to completely rid of something that really isn't me, that I did earlier. Um, and to secure and protect my health even further into the future. But what what I have found is just to always have the courage to continue choosing into you.
Mm-hmm.
Continue choosing into what it is that your heart and soul is telling you feels right. And I had to start with little things like what color to paint my fingernails, right? And so like I
Mm-hmm.
literally had to sit there and be like, well, I don't know. What color do I like? Do I like lights? Do I like darks? Like, I've let, even to the point of people in my life, influence the color of my fingernails because that's what they liked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's taking those little steps, whether you're starting with fingernail polish or food or whatever, and taking those little steps to choose into you and to discover who you are to get to the big grand, like, holy crap, I'm here. I feel like I've,
Yeah.
I feel like I found myself again.
Yeah. So what would you say, as a people pleaser and losing yourself over the span of the span of your life, and then
Mm-hmm.
coming back to yourself, what would you say has been like one of the greatest sources of healing for you? Like to heal all the pain associated with giving yourself away. What's been one of the greatest sources of healing?
Um, the greatest source of healing is, or for me, has just whatever self development is for you. Like
Mhm.
my self development. I mean, people probably think I'm super rude because I'm not that social outside of social media.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Mhm.
whenever you see me at the grocery store or whatever, 9 times out of 10, I have my earbuds in, but it's because I'm listening to anything positive to refuel me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all the time. It's loading the dishwasher, it's driving, it's shopping for groceries. Like, it's tuning out the noise of everything else so that you don't fall back into that people pleasing, that prostitution energy. It's keeping keeping your focus and filling myself completely full of self-development. And it changes from day to day. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's audible books,
Yeah.
sometimes it's meditation and like spiritual stuff. Like it changes, and
Yeah.
that's what I love so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the life that you left behind in the people, I think one of the things that can be difficult, especially as a people pleaser, is when you decide to stand up for yourself and say no more, and the
Mm-hmm.
people that you thought were in it for you, you realize their true intentions. How did you go through the process of letting that go, letting people go, and being able to forgive?
So it still is a process.
Yeah.
you know like, I think I've gotten there, and I think, okay, I've forgiven, let's say I've forgiven my ex-husband, I've forgiven, some of the friends or members of the church or business or something like that, and then something will happen and will trigger me, and I'll get upset, right? And I'll get upset, and sometimes I have like a couple day pity party where I have some anger, and other days I'm like, you know what, I just get to let this go. Um, and there's a meditation that I listen to quite often, or just repeat often, in that I listen to just even on YouTube. And you might know of this. I'm sure you do. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it properly, but it's like Ho'oponopono meditation. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of it. No.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's a Hawaiian meditation.
Uh-huh.
And what you basically do is, okay, so let's say I'm really really upset at, remembering this memory of how I felt going through my divorce and when my ex-husband brought in the cereal. I don't know his intentions. It may have been really good, it may not have. It doesn't matter. I felt horrible.
Yeah.
So what I do is I just picture them, the other person that I'm upset about. So let's say I'm picturing my ex-husband, and you just repeat these words where it says, and now that I'm on the spot, I'm not going to remember all of them, but there's 4 phrases, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
Wow.
And you just repeat those over and over and over until you feel like, okay, my energy's back down. I don't feel like I'm going to rip somebody's head off or say something I don't want
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so whether I'm verbalizing it and saying it, or like I say, I'm listening to it in my earbuds, it's a constant practice, because we're all human.
Yeah.
And even when I let go and I forgive, I get angry again
Mhm.
sometimes. And so it's just going back to the, okay, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and just practicing it.
Yeah. Do you feel like the Lacey Marie you are right now is the Lacey Marie you've always been? And if you believe that, what age do you feel like you separated yourself from the authentic Lacey Marie?
Um, I separated. I know exactly. I can tell you the exact moment I separated. I remember standing in my house with my parents, and I remember getting a phone call. And at the time, it was of my first husband before we were married. I remember getting a particular phone call, and I remember being hurt or something and hanging up. And I I know the exact moment because I wanted to stop and pause. I wanted to leave and go up to our cabin in Island Park instead of doing the plans that were already made. And it was really, really, really hard for me not to do what I wanted to. And
Yeah.
I know right in that moment, I told my true authentic self to sit down and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
That is the moment. And then I kept doing it.
Yeah. So from this entire experience, I mean, obviously, so many things that you learned, so many.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is one of your bigger lessons from this whole experience? What's like your one of your bigger takeaways that you've gotten from this?
Um, that I know more than I think I do,
Mm.
but that's about myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know more about me, and it's okay to trust where I'm guided instead of putting all of my trust outside of my soul.
I love that. I love that. And I wanna follow that question up with because you grew up in such a religious environment, what has the process been like of discovering your own spirituality outside of dogma? Because I know a lot of people struggle with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like saying yes to your authentic self sometimes means leaving a dogmatic environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is your journey to find your own even personal spirituality, to say yes to your spirituality?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's okay. That's a really good question. Um, that's been really, really difficult because I was so um, the word keeps programmed. Okay, like I was so programmed and conditioned and around all of these things that I find myself quite often that when something that I thought to be incredibly like solid truth and it doesn't feel in alignment with me, it's really hard. Like it's really hard not to second guess myself and go right back into that people pleasing.
Yeah,
Like incredibly difficult. Um, but the journey itself has been it's been beautiful. My husband and I have this saying that we're like, okay, we feel broken. We felt like we've been broken for a good chunk of our lives, but we've, through different experiences put ourselves back together and we're beautifully unbroken. And
yeah,
we're surrounded by this beautiful chaos. And so it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey, but not I don't know, not quite like anything I would have ever expected.
yeah, yeah. I love that. Um, so for people who are watching either live or on the replay, and they're in a similar situation of being a people pleaser and losing themselves, and I love the the visual that you gave us of not even knowing what color to paint your fingernails, because that's how lost we can get, right? In other
Yeah.
people. So what could you say as a piece of advice for them, or a word of encouragement for all the Lacey Maries out there who are saying, I know I'm in here. I know I'm here. Sure, I can't get to him. What would you say to them?
um, I would say, first of all, it's okay. It's okay. We all get lost from time to time, and it's okay. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep believing in yourself. Keep practicing choosing you. And some days that's going to be really easy, and some days it's going to be really hard. But honor yourself for whatever and however you can show up that day, because I know most everybody on this earth, like, they're good souls and they're trying their best. So just give that to yourself. Just,
Yeah.
you are doing your best, and it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I love that. One more thing,
Mm-hmm.
because you mentioned earlier that you had lost everything. And I find that when many people make extreme pivotal decisions or very large decisions where they're choosing them, they lose everything. What are you grateful now that you lost, but at the time losing it felt like the end of the world?
Everything. No, but like, in all seriousness, because I lost the house, right?
Yeah.
Lost the house, but it's okay. I've made other beautiful places to live, you know, and brought in new memories and new energy. I've been the poorest you can get, but everything that I have now means so much more to me, because it has been such such a growing point to get.
Yeah.
You know, like, my, and again, these are going to be silly references, but it's things that we can all relate to. Like, my cell phone means a lot more to me, because there were some big choices I had to make in getting a cell phone, right? Or my car, or even when I go to put gas in the tank, there are sometimes I get teary-eyed, and like, my anxiety kind of peaks, because I'm like, oh my gosh, is it going to work? Like, do I have enough money? Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, right? And those old things still kind of surface up. But I'm so thankful for them, because it means so much more to me.
Yeah.
So much more.
Yeah. I love that. Lacey Marie, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your vulnerability and your courage and your story. I am just so honored and blessed to have you on today. And I know so many people have gotten a lot of value from what you shared. How can people reach out to you?
So honestly, the best way is Facebook. I love Facebook. So message me, follow me, send me friend requests, whatever. But Facebook it's my favorite.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so definitely, as I always say, you know, every time I end the show, it's so important that if you're watching and you resonate and you get it, it's important to reach out and make connections. I think that's what makes social media so beautiful, is our ability to connect. And I think we need to shift and make connections in a authentic way, in
Absolutely.
a shallow way, to know we're not alone in this. Like, wherever you are today, guys, whatever stage you are in life, the greatest thing that will keep you in a state of sadness and depression and hopelessness is feeling like you're alone. You're not alone. And there's hope on the other side of your journey, wherever you're at in your journey. So reach out to the people that are here, who are always willing, everybody I've ever had on, always willing to make connections, because that's the thing that makes life so beautiful. So thank you all so much for joining us. Lacey Marie, thank you once again. So happy to have you on.
Thank you, Amy, so much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all